What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to do this front-end mentor challenge, the social proof section. So this is the desktop version. Okay, so we got a couple background images here that you can barely see. I didn't even realize there was background images in here, guys, honestly, until I was like almost done building this project because they're like so faint and subtle. But they're there and they're annoying. Background images are annoying, but I'll show you how to put those in there the correct way. I don't like them. I don't think they add much to websites, but I'm going to show them to you. And then we just got a couple sections here. I divided this into two sections, so this will be a separate section from this. They'll be below each other. And then we just got three little review cards, as I'm going to call them, with some reviews. So this is just, a little review thing that you might see on a landing page or a larger website. This would be like one little section of the website, just showing people how great other people think their product is, right? So this is the desktop version, and then this is the mobile version. So pretty much the same thing, everything just stacked on top of each other. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started here. So make sure that you go ahead and download your starter if you need to. I'm going to be using the Figma file. I'll download it and I'll show you guys. If you're not sure how to use Figma, I have a little tutorial, quick video about that on my channel. I can link it in the description as well. Or just search Practical Web Dev Figma or how to use Figma. It'll come up. It's important that you learn some kind of design software, especially if you're new. You're going to be trying to get paid as a coder someday or a front-end developer. You got to know Photoshop or Figma. Just pick one. Figma is, you know what? Figma's paid now, so they're almost, I don't even know if one's cheaper than the other. But I know Figma pretty well. I like Figma. I use Figma most of the time. And then if you at least learn the basics of something like Figma, like learning Photoshop in the future, if you have to, it won't be that difficult. So we got our files. I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder for this project. And we'll go ahead and call it social. We'll just call it social proof section. Let's not get cute. Just make it social proof section. And then I've got my files that we downloaded from Figma just now. So we got social proof master. So I'm going to show you guys what I do. I don't actually use the master file from Frontend Mentor. I just pretty much like to make my own folder and then get the images from it and drag them over. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's open up. We already have our folder. I just want to open up Visual Studio Code and drag our project folder in here. It's just an empty folder. And then I'm going to start making some files. So I'm going to make an index.html. I'm going to make a style.css. And then there's no JavaScript, so we're leaving that out. But we are going to make an image folder for the images. We'll just call that img. And then I'm going to unzip this file on my other screen. Or I can even show you what I'm doing. I'm literally just unzipped it. Just clicked it once or twice. I'm going to go into their images folder, and I'm going to grab the background pattern images, so these four, drag them into my image folder, make sure they're there, they are, and then I'm going to grab, not going to grab the favicon, we don't want Frontend Mentor's little logo, we don't need that. We'll grab the star icon SVG, and then the rest of these images down here. These are like the people that reviewed the thing. This is like their little avatars. And that's pretty much all I'm going to take from that file. Now, just to show you, if you want to use Figma, I will show you how to get that into Figma. If you don't have Figma, just go to like figma.com or type it into Google. Download Figma. You can download it for desktop or Mac, or you can just simply use the web app. It all works the same. But I'm going to open up Figma here. So it's this little logo. This is Figma, guys. So this is what the logo will look like if you download it. Put it on your machine or use the web app. It doesn't matter. I already have it in here, but I'll show you how I got it, because it can be confusing if you've never done it. Here it is. So with Figma, With Figma, you have to actually unzip the file, so double click it or click it, however you have to do it on your machine. Open the folder, and you have to drag the .fig file over, and that's how you can open it. If you just try to move the whole zip file over, it will not work. It will not import. So unzip it, open this up, get the .fig file, that's actually the design, and drag it in, and that'll open it up on Figma for you, okay? I recommend, again, using Figma if you can while you follow along with me. If not, just follow the tutorial with me and just get a feel for how to build stuff and build a design with HTML and CSS, whatever you want to do. But this is what I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to be looking at this on my other screen that you can't see while we build. But I'm just letting you know that this is where I'm going to be getting all my styles from. So like with Figma, you have this button over here, and it's called Dev Mode. If you turn Dev Mode off, you can click into all the stuff, and it'll give you some colors, but it's not going to give you much styling information for your CSS. When you click Dev Mode on, you get all of that. So I'll click into this paragraph, and now like I've got the color, font family, font size. So I'm going to be copying and pasting a lot of code into this tutorial to speed it up, but I just wanted to let you know I'm getting these styles from the design file. I'm not just pulling these out of thin air. So I'll be the font size, everything that we need, the font weight, line height, everything, I'm getting that from Figma. Okay, guys? So I just want to make you aware of that. To get this, you can download Figma for free, but if you want this button up here that says Dev Mode where you can turn it on, you have to pay Figma like $16 a month to have access to it. It was free for a long time, but now that there's, probably tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Figma users, and it's becoming like the main thing for web development for front end, they're charging for it now, which you can't blame them, right? But it is paid now. I think it's still cheaper than Photoshop. Photoshop is pretty expensive, I'm pretty sure. So again, I have a video on that. Spend the money if you're trying to really be a developer. You got to invest in yourself. Get this Dev Mode tool. Spend the money every month, and build your designs. So enough about that. This is going over to the side, and we're going to start building this project because this intro was already getting way too long. So let's go ahead and start building our files here. We got our index.html. So I'm going to set up my boilerplate. I am in Visual Studio Code. I'm going to be using some shortcuts in Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is free to use. It's from Microsoft. It's like the #1 text editor, at least for beginners out there. And so just follow along with me. You'll learn Visual Studio Code if you've never used it before just by watching me. So to get my HTML boilerplate, I'm going to hold Shift and type the number 1, which is also the exclamation point on the keyboard. And then when we have that exclamation point, I'm going to hit Tab, and that gives you all of your boilerplate HTML code. I'm going to title my document. I'm not going to put social proof section. I'm going to make this look as real as possible, because if I want to put this on a portfolio and try to get hired by somebody, I want to put projects that look as real as possible. Okay, so don't make it look like you got this project from a website. So let's name it like Our Customers Love Us with an exclamation. Okay, that looks better. That looks more professional than just putting like front end mentor challenge blah blah blah. Like, you don't want to do that. Let's go above our title under the meta, and let's make a link tag. So I'm going to type link, and I'm just going to hit Tab, and that will already set it up for me how I want it. Again, that's built into Visual Studio Code. If you hit Tab, that's your shortcut key, guys. It'll pre-write stuff for you. Just hit Tab to finish it. So we got our link with our rel style sheet. We're going to link to our style.css document. And then I'm going to go down to my body, type H1, and again, I'm going to hit Tab it'll auto-write the H1 opening closing tag for me. And I'm just going to put hello, put some text here because we're going to make sure that our CSS and everything is connected. So I'm going to minimize my code screen a little bit. I'm going to click this Go Live button down in the right-hand corner. If you don't have the Go Live button, click on this. This is the Extensions tab. Type in Live, and then Live Server will come up. It'll say Install right here. Just install it, and then restart this, and you'll get the Go Live tab. This allows you to watch how your designs are being built in real time. Every time you save the page, your document will update automatically. So that's a really nice tool. So let's click Go Live. And here it is. So this is the project that we're building. We've got our little hello there. We've got our Customers Love Us title. So That's good. Let's just put these side by side for now. And then I'm going to go to my style.css. I'm going to make a little asterisk and curly braces, and we're selecting everything in the page right now with that asterisk, and I'm going to say margin 0, padding 0, box sizing border box. What that does is it resets the default margins and paddings of the browser of Google Chrome, and it gives us full control over how the page looks. And box sizing, we're not going to get into that, but it just helps your margins and paddings be what they should be without random extra math added in. Okay, that's the easiest way I can explain it. So we know that our CSS is working because our hello got put up into the corner because we took away all the margin and padding. So we're all connected there, and that's good. Now we're going to go ahead and there's one Google font that we have to grab so that we can get the font for the page. So let's go to Google Fonts. Let's type in Google Fonts in your search engine. And I'm going to make this big. And I'm going to go ahead and this is the one that we need. It's called League Spartan. That is the font for this project. I already had it in my bag, but if you have no idea how to do that, just go to this fonts area, type in League Spartan, and it'll come up, and then that's where you select it. And then up here, instead of remove font family, it'll say get font, and then it'll bring you to this page. And it'll let you click these buttons over here. It says get embed code or download it. We're just going to get the embed code, and that's how we're going to add it to our project. So I'm going to click get embed code. And then I'm going to copy all of this HTML here where it says all these links. So we'll copy that, and we're going to bring it into our page. And it's going to go above our link for our CSS. We're going to put it above that. So let's go below the last meta tag above our CSS and type copy all that in. That gives us all the code we need to access the Spartan or League Spartan font family. And then we also need to add it to our CSS. So let's go back to our page, and we're going to go down here. We need to get the font family, just this little font family part. And that'll give us the League Spartan font family, and then it'll give us a fallback font of sans serif if that can't load for some reason. So let's just copy that, and I'm just going to put it right up here in my asterisk because, again, these are rules. When you do the asterisk, this means, hey, these are rules for the entire page no matter what. So since we're only using one font family on this little project, we can put it up there. Otherwise, for bigger projects, usually your headings and your paragraphs and stuff will be different fonts, and you'll put them. You'll make other default styles for your H1s and all that. But for this, really simple, we can just put it up here. And all right, so we're pretty much ready to get building here. Let's see if our font took hold, and it did. So you can see the hello looks like it's in a different font now than we used to have, than the default. So everything's connected. We've got our font ready to go. Let's go ahead and get started building this. So let's pull up the project, and I'm just going to look at it in this window here. So we're going to get started first. And again, remember I told you I'm going to be looking at Figma on my other side so I can see what I'm doing the whole time. Just follow along with me. Try to open the design up. Hopefully if you have at least two monitors, put the design on one and your code and everything on the other, and just follow along with me. But so first we're going to start building this section right here. This whole thing here is going to be our first section, and then we'll build this second, but this is up first, okay? So first we're going to do the background images, which is right here and right here. I'm going to show you how to do those because those are going to be first. And then we're going to get into building this part here. We're going to have an H1, a paragraph, and then we're going to use Flexbox to put these side by side. And then we're going to have our little review area, and I'll show you how to make this review thing. So we'll focus on, again, background images first, and then these two little pieces of content that we're going to put side by side. So let's get started with that. All right, guys, so let's get to this H1 because we don't need that anymore. And then notice how every time, so I just saved the page. You can do that on a Mac. It's Command S. On a PC, I think it's like, what is it? CTRL S, Control Shift, something like that. That's the shortcut to save. Sorry, guys, I'm on a Mac and a Mac keyboard. I haven't used a PC in a long time. Otherwise, you can come up here to File and hit Save, and every time you do that, it'll update your live view, okay? So let's go and start building. I said first that we were going to do the background images, so let's do that. So let's go into our CSS, because again, these are background images, so we're going to put this in with CSS because it's going to be in the background. We don't want these images to be on the page and affecting our other elements, okay? So let's go under our asterisk and let's make a body tag. And then I'm going to put a style selector called background image. You may have never, especially if you're new, you may have never seen this or used it before or even known about it, but this is how you can use those little decorative background images and position them. So it's the background image, and then you're going to type in URL, and I'm going to hit tab. So URL and then a couple of little braces here. And then in between there is where you're going to access the image from whatever folder you're getting it from. So we're going to access ours from our IMG folder. So to do that, I'm going to hit /, and then that's going to say, oh, you want to go to a different folder. And we do. So we want to go to our image folder, and I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to get the BG pattern top desktop SVG. I'm just going to arrow key down to it and hit enter because that's the one that I want. And I'm going to save. So notice how we got it now, but it's repeating a bunch of times. That background images repeat on default, so we have to tell them not to repeat. So we'll go ahead and we'll fix all that now. Let's go ahead and below this, we're going to say background and it's to get it to stop repeating, it's going to be background repeat right here, and we're going to say none. Or sorry, not none. We're going to say background repeat, no repeat. My bad. There we go. So there we go. It's not repeating anymore, and that's where the background image more or less should be right now. So that's good. We fixed that. And now we're going to, below this, to position background images, you use something called background position right here. And then what I use for my background positionings, you can use percentages or pixels or whatever you want. I usually use viewport width, so VW, and viewport height, VH. That's how I like to do my positioning for stuff when it comes to background images. So for this one, just to show you examples, I'm going to put 0 VH, so VH is, or sorry, 0 VW. VW, viewport width is first, and then next to it we'll do the height, 0 VH. So we got 0 VW, 0 VH. Hasn't moved at all because we just put 0. And I just want to show you a little quick tutorial on how to like manipulate where your background images are using this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this full screen. I'm going to hit right click and inspect. And I'm going to get out of the mobile view by clicking this. So there we go. So we're going to use the Google Developer Tools, and that's going to help us position where we want this background image to go. So if we look at the design, let's just pull that up really quick. The background image for the top one is pretty much where it already is by default. We have it 0 and 0, and it's already up in this top corner, basically in that position already. I'm really not going to move this one at all, but I'm going to show you how to move them because we are going to move the bottom one a little bit, but I'm going to show you just basically how to move them. Again, luckily with this design, the top one is pretty much just in the corner where it should be by default when it's just 0 and 0, so that's cool. But let's go back to our project now. And how you would position that, the easy way without guessing, is by using your Google Chrome Developer Tools. So again, we got here by hitting right click and inspect. And now we have our elements here, so click on your Elements tab, make sure that's what's open. I'm going to click on the body. I'm going to drag this up to make this a little easier to see. And look, we have our body tag, it shows us, and it has our CSS that we just wrote on the page. You can access it. So we have our background image, we have repeat, no repeat, and look, we have our background position, 0 VW, 0 VH. I can highlight just one of these or put the cursor. I'm going to put the cursor on 0 VW. See my cursor's there. And now I can use my arrow key on the keyboard to move up. See how the VW is increasing? And look, our background image is moving. I can go up or I can go back. I can even go into the negatives. So let's go back to 0 and then into the negatives. That'll move it that way. Okay? So that's how you move them. And then you can do the same thing with VH. It'll move it up and down. It's moving it up and down the screen. See that? It's really hard to see this background image, guys. I know it might be hard to see, but hopefully you can see it moving up and down. So how you do this, guys, is you get it to where you want by looking at the design, and then you adjust it using your developer tools and your arrow keys. And then once you've got it where you want it, this is not actually saving into your code editor. You have to copy the code. So Control Command C, whatever, and then you would paste it into here. Like if that's where I wanted my background positions, where I just put it, just paste it in there. Oops. And save it. And then look, it's there. So instead of, again, trying to guess where it's going to end up and having to keep going back and forth to my code editor to adjust it, I just use the developer tools to position it and then pasted that code into my code. Okay? So this doesn't just go for background images. This goes for anything you're trying to build that's kind of complicated on whatever design you're building. And like, use your developer tools, move elements around in here, see how they look, and then actually implement that into your actual code by copying and pasting. Okay? So again, that was just to show you, but we are going to keep that at 0, 0. So I'm just going to move this back to 0, 0 for the project. And that's going to be the end of like my long explanation tutorials through this. Just know that that's how I'm going to, from now on, I'm just going to give you the viewport height and viewport width of the background images. I'm not going to explain how I got there. So hopefully you've watched this section and everything else in the video so far, because to save time on the video, I'm not going to hold your hand quite as much, okay? You're just going to have to kind of follow along. So let's continue. We've got our background position for that image. We're going to do the same thing now. We got to add the bottom image. So to add another image, I'm actually going to go in here and make a comma. And this is how you can add like multiple background images. Now we're going to do another URL right next to the other one. We're going to hit ./image, and we're going to go to BG pattern bottom desktop and save. And there's that. So let's make it bigger. So now our bottom thing is here. I'm going to position that one by, again, putting a comma. And then we're going to I'm just going to paste this in because I already have it calculated where I want it. I showed you how I got there just now. It's going to be 30 VW, 10 VH. And then we'll make that bigger. And now this is pretty much where it should be for the design on the bottom here. All right, so that's it. That takes care of the background images to start. We're pretty much going to have to view this design in full screen going forward. So I'm going to have my code full screen. And then as we look at our progress, we'll come back to this bigger screen view. So let's go ahead and go back to our code. And let's start going here. So we're going to do, remember I told you we're going to do the first section now where it has the text and it has the review star stuff. So this right here. Now we're building this. We're going to build this, and then put them side by side, okay? So follow along with me with your own design. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything into a container below our body tag. So we're going to say .container. And then I'm just going to save here. So all of our rest of our code is going to be wrapped in this container class. And we're going to do our container CSS now. So let's do .container. And I'm going to make our container width 90%. Max width 1150 pixels. And margins auto. That's going to center everything. So what that container class is going to do is push all of the rest of our content kind of inside here, because you don't ever build web pages with stuff all the way out on the margins. You always have some gap in between, and you kind of center your web page within that. And that's what that container class is going to do for us. It's just going to provide all of those styles with all of the rest of the content that we do. Because even looking at the design, and we'll look at it again. Even looking at the design, guys, notice how there's a bunch of like padding or margin here, and that's because that's what our container class is going to do. It's going to bring everything in, so it's like kind of in the middle of the page and not all the way off, drifting to each margin. Okay, so got our container class set up. Now let's do the heading and this text stuff and this rating star stuff. We're going to do all that right now. So I'm going to start by making a section. And I'm going to put an ID on this section, and I'm going to call it 5-star reviews. Oops. 5-star reviews. There we go. And then within that section, I'm going to make a div with the class of 5-star text container. This is where our text is going to go. So we're going to say 5-star text container. And notice how I'm just doing a dot here. I'm just going to do a dot, write my class name out, and hit tab. And Visual Studio Code knows that I want to make a div with that class name. So when I hit tab, it does it automatically for me. Saves me a bunch of time. And then what we're going to do first is make that H1. So we're going to say H1. We're going to give it a class of main heading. And then we're going to copy and paste. I'm just going to paste the text in there. You can pause and write it out if you want. But it says 10,000 of our users love our products. And then below it, we're going to make a paragraph. And I'm going to give it a class of main heading P. Oops, main heading P. And then I'm going to copy and paste the text in there that goes below that main heading. It says we only provide great products combined with excellent customer service. See what our satisfied customers are saying about our services, okay? So for pretty much all my paragraphs in this design, they're going to have different classes on them. Because for whatever reason, when they designed this, they made all of the paragraphs have all different colors, all different sizes and everything, which is kind of weird for a design. Usually your paragraphs will have like the same font, color, and size throughout a design, but this is a weird one, so we're going to end up making a bunch of different classes for different paragraphs, and that's okay, but that's why I'm doing that. I usually don't have to do stuff like that. So let's see how that looks so far. Let's go over to what we're building here. So there we go. We got our text going up here. So we've got the HTML for that. All right, so let's go back. And then, so below this, so this is our 5-star text container. So that's where it ends. And then right next to it, we're going to make another div container that's going to contain the stars and the little excerpts about some stuff that people are saying. And we're going to call that section 5-star mentions, because it's basically like, mentions, like people mentioning what other companies have said, basically. And then we're going to have 3 separate divs, one each for one little review box. So within there, we're going to have a class called review. Within that, we're going to have 5 stars. So we're going to we have an image that's 1 star, so we're going to have to copy and paste it in 5 times to each of these little review areas that we're building to make all of the stars appear. So we'll do that. So let's put all these images within another little container, and we'll call it 5-star images container. And then we're going to put 5 stars in there. So let's say image. And we'll give it the class of, we'll say 5-star image. Keep it obvious. Then we're going to hit ./image, and we want to grab icon star SVG. And the alt text we'll just put star. Or to be more specific, we can put rating star if you want. And there's 1 image, and then we're going to just copy this down 4 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then let's look at that, and there's our 5 stars right there come into life. So they're all side by side by default because images are inline. So that's looking good. And I just got to write a little bit of text that goes with them. So below that, we're going to have a P, and it's going to be called, again, we're going to give this a class. It's going to be called 5-star mention P. I know my classes are kind of long, guys, but I like to make stuff painfully obvious what the hell everything is doing. I know a lot of the developers like to abbreviate everything. I don't. I like to make everything super obvious so that if I come back to this project at a way later time, I know what everything does. Or if another developer has to look at my code, like guys like you that are trying to learn, you know what everything does because I explicitly name all my classes and IDs. So it's like common sense what they do, hopefully. So we have 5-star mention P, and the first one says, let's see, rated 5 stars in reviews. So let's just copy that, paste it in here. And that's pretty much going to be it for the first. So we have this one review, and we need to copy this down 2 more times now because there's 3 separate little review boxes. So I'm just going to do that. 1, 2. And now we should have like 3 of them. Let's look at our thing. And there they are. See that? 1, 2, 3. So let's go ahead and copy and paste the text that's supposed to go in each one of those before we move on, because they all don't say rated 5 stars in reviews. They're supposed to have different text. So the first one is rated 5 stars in reviews. The second one says rated 5 stars in report guru. So we'll copy and paste that in here. And then the last one is rated 5 stars in best tech. So maybe that's like a magazine or something. Who the hell knows? All right. And there it is. So we got all our text in there for each individual one. So now we're going to use CSS to code this up and make it look like the design. So when we're done doing the CSS with this area, it's going to look like exactly like this right here. Okay? This little top part. It's going to have all this beautiful styling. So let's get that started. Again, hopefully you're following along with me with your own design file. So I'm going to open up my style CSS next to my other thing here. I like to look at my CSS and my HTML together. To do that, you just click this little window pane here, and it'll multiply your window, another little window in your VS Code, and you can move stuff over. Exit out if you don't want it. But now we're going to go down, and we're going to start by styling everything on the page, just going down in order. So first we're going to do the 5-star reviews ID. So let's select that. So I'll get our ID selector, paste that in. I always try to copy and paste your ID names and classes over to your CSS to make sure that there's no typos that happen, okay? So we're going to put them side by side. So we're going to say display flex. And then we're going to say align items center. And then we're going to say justify content space between. And then we'll do margin top 5 rem, because we don't want everything to be sucked up to the top of the page like it is right now. And for rem, guys, I like to use rems when I'm doing margins and paddings. 1 rem is equal to 16 pixels by default. So basically that's 16 times 5, whatever that is. So I don't know, I'm not a math major. 50, 60, that's like probably 72 or so pixels of rem from the top. So let's see how that looks so far. So there's our 5 margin top 5 rem. See how it's bringing everything down. And then we put both of these sections next to each other. They're still not looking pretty, but now we're going to style up each individual part so that it looks exactly like the design. So let's go down next, and we're going to style the main heading, that H1. And we're going to give it a, I'm going to actually, again, like I said, I'm going to copy and paste a lot of the stuff over from Figma itself in dev mode. So I'm going to paste that in there. So here's the color, 512051 is the hex code. It's that dark purple color. And then we got the font size on desktop is 56 pixels. Font weight is 700, so it's bold. And the line height is 48 pixels. What line height is, if you don't know, is it's when this paragraphs or heading text is stacked on top of each other, it's the amount of space in between each line. So like right here, we're not seeing any different line height right now because we haven't stacked this on top of each other like we should, but we're about to with width. We're going to give it some width, because on the main design, it's not all the way, it looks more like this with stuff stacked on top of each other on the desktop. So we'll do that using the CSS width style property. So let's go back into our code. And I'm going to give that H1 a width of just 60% and save. And now it's stacking on top of each other like it should. It doesn't look exactly like the design yet, but when we style other stuff, that width of 60% is going to make it look exactly like the design, so that our text is stacked on top of each other, just like this. It's going to look like this on 3 lines. So just trust me, just leave it 60% for now. when we do all of our other stylings, that will fix itself. Alright, so next we're going to style our main heading P paragraph. So let's copy that, use our dot selector, paste our class name, and then so for the main heading P, I'm going to get the basic styles from Figma and paste them over here. So here's the color. It's kind of like some light grayish, I don't know, like maybe super light purplish color. Font size is 19 pixels, which is a really weird font size, but whatever. Font weight is 500, so it's a little bold, and the line height is 25 pixels. So let's look at that. Okay, so that's good. It looks like the design. And now we're going to, again, just like up here, we're going to use width to make this, bring this text in like it should be, so it's not expanding all over here. So we're going to give this paragraph a width of 75%. And then we're going to give it some padding on top so it's not sucked up close to the main heading. We're going to give it a padding top of 2 rem, or again, that would be 32 pixels, doing the math. And there we go. So now those are separated. Those look good. And now we're going to bring our attention over here, and we're going to style up this area so that it looks like the design right here. When we get done with our styles, it's going to have these little purplish pinkish background with these letters, and it's going to look like this. And we're going to use margin to push each one of these over so they look like steps. Okay, so we're not going to do anything with 5-star mentions, but we're going to grab the review boxes and style all of those at the same time because they all have the same class. And the only styles that Figma gives us to go off of here are the background color and the border radius, which is 8 pixels, so it makes those little things a little rounder. The edge is round. And then like we did with the other ones, so we need to have this stuff go side by so within each review div is this area, okay? This box is in that div. So right now our stars and our text is stacked on top of each other. We need it to go side by side. So again, we're going to use Flexbox to achieve that, to put the stars on one side and the text right next to it on the other side, okay? And then we'll use some spacing in these text colors and for the paragraph, and then it'll look just like the design. So again, we're going to hit display, flex, align items center, justify content space between, and then we'll look at that. We'll look at what that looks like here. And there we go. So see, we got the background now. They're all stuck together, all 3 of them, but there's 3 separate sections. We'll give it some margin to separate it. We'll give this some width so that the stars, so we see the stars and text are next to each other now, so we're halfway there. We just got to add a few more styles and style up our text. So, and below our justify content, we're going to say margin. We're going to say top and bottom. We want 1 rem of margin, 0 rem on the sides. That'll separate our 3 things out. So now there's some separation here. And now we got to add a few more styles. And we're going to do, we're going to say that we want some padding in each one of those little review boxes. We're going to have 0 rem, top and bottom, and 2 rem, left and right. We're going to give each one of them a width of 455 pixels. And a height of 56 pixels. All right, let's see how those look now. Hey, look at that! It's looking just like the design almost. Got to style up the text, so we're getting there. The magic of CSS, right? So let's go back, and now we got to style up the text in each one of those. So that is going to be the 5-star mention P text. So we'll grab that, put our dot selector, copy that over. And let's go ahead and gonna copy the styles from Figma. So it gave me the color 512051, that's the hex code, 17 pixel font size and a 700 font weight, making the text bold. So let's check out how that looks. And oh my goodness, it looks just like the design now. So now all we have to do, guys, is we have to use margin to push these over, because on the design they made it look like little mini steps. So just look at that. I should probably bring this over. So yeah, see how this one's pushed over and then this one's pushed over. So we're just going to use margin left for both of those and push them over a little bit. And then it'll look like that. So let's go ahead and get that done. So to achieve giving just a couple of them margins, we're going to give IDs to the last two review boxes. So this one here, we're going to put on this div, we're going to say ID tab, and then I'm going to say review. This is the second one, so we're going to say review -2. And then I'm going to copy this. And actually, sorry, we're actually going to write out 2. And then we're going to, let's copy that again. Go to the other review, paste that in, it says review 2. Let's just change the 2 to 3. So we have review 2, review 3. And then let's go ahead and copy this one. Use our ID selector, the hashtag, paste that in, review 2. Say margin, we're going to say margin left, 2 rem. Copy this. Go down. This needs to say review 3. And then we're going to say margin left for this one is going to be 4 rem. So let's save that, and that should make it look just like the design. Let's take a look. Look at that. We got it. So pretty close. Probably not exact, but pretty close to the design. So happy with that. You can see our background images, judging off of where everything else is, are in the right area. And remember how I said those widths would fix itself after we did these styles, and they did. So now this looks, the text on here has the same width as the design. So that's good. So guys, let's go ahead and do the next section now, which is going to be the review cards, or at least that's what I call them, these little cards down here. So we're going to make, the cool thing about this is we're really going to only have to build one, and then we're going to copy that down 2 more times because they all have the same styling. It's just different text info and a different picture. So this should be pretty quick. So let's go ahead and get started on these review cards. And then again, see how like these are pushed over? The review cards, it's subtle, but it's there. It's like little steps going down. So this one's the highest. This one's pushed down with some margin. This one's pushed down a little bit more with some margin. So we're going to do that same effect. This time, instead of margin left, we're going to be using margin top just to push these 2 down, okay? So let's get started with that. So I'm going to go below this section. So there should still be a div down here because that's our container class, right? So don't go below the div, go above it. And we're going to make another section below here. And with that ID is going to have, we'll put a hashtag, we're going to call it review-cards. And then we're going to have 3 review cards that we'll just build one, and then we'll copy the rest of the 2 down. So let's make a div with the class of review card. And then within the review card, we have to have, looking at the design, this top avatar part, we have to put this stuff in a div and then flex it, use Flexbox against that the picture's on one side and the text is on the other. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. So let's make a div with the class of avatar container. And then we're going to make another div with the class of avatar image container, because that's just where the image is going to go. And then in there, we're going to type img in tab. We're going to hit /. The first image that we're going to want to put in here is going to be this one here, the Colton guy. He's the first one. And then in the alt text, we'll put Colton. And then below our avatar image container, we're going to put the text that goes next to him, next to the image. So let's make another div. And we're going to call this one avatar text container. And then within that container, we're going to have 2 separate paragraphs, one for the name, one for the text that says verified buyer. So let's do the first one. We'll do a P, and we'll say that this one is going to be the avatar name. And if his name is Colton Smith. Then below that, we'll do another paragraph with the class of, or that says, it just says verified buyer. So we're literally going to put verified buyer text. And then all the text says is verified buyer, like that means anything. Right. Like websites can put all this fake stuff on there all the time. It doesn't, I don't know why they do that, but whatever. Like verified buyer, how would we know? We wouldn't know. But anyway, there's verified buyer, Colton Smith. So this is what we have so far. Go back. And then below this avatar, so that completes our little avatar container div. So see how I have an extension to where when I click on this div, it gives me a line under it so I can easily see where the parent div closes and opens. So I'm just going to go below here. And now that's where the review card text is going to go, where they say their review. So let's actually make a paragraph with the class, and we're literally going to call it review card text. And then I'm just going to copy and paste the review text in there. And the paragraph. So there it is. We needed the same printed design as the one we had ordered a week prior. Not only did they find the original order, but we also received it in time. Excellent. So that's like just the review text. Okay. So that's that. That's all the HTML that each card requires. So now we're just going to copy and paste that down to 2 more cards. So let's take the first review card. It finishes here. So I'm going to copy this down twice. And now we should have 3. There we go. So now we're going to style them up so that they have this purple background and they look exactly like this. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to use Flexbox to put them side by side and use some margin to make it look exactly like that. All right. So let's go in here. And we're going to do review cards. So ID selector, review cards. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do display, flex, align items, center, justify content, space between, margin top for rem, so that the section isn't sucked up to the other one like it was. So there, now we got them all side by side. The margin top gave us this spacing, so it gives it some good spacing here. And now we just got to give them the purple background, style the image, and then style the text. So below review cards, we're going to style each individual review card. So let's say dot review card. And we're going to give a border radius on each one of those of 8 pixels so it gets the rounded corners. And then I'm going to take, let's see, the background color. So the width and the height, the width is 350 pixels per card, 234 on the height pixels. And then let's take the background color. Again, I'm getting all this from Figma, so I'm just going to copy paste it over. Background color is that deep purple, 512051. And then we're also going to need to, we can see it coming into play. Our design's looking nice now. We're going to give some padding top and left and right so that the text isn't all the way sucked up into the sides here. We don't want that, so let's do that. So I'm going to say padding top 2 rem. Or actually, we're going to say padding, we're going to say 1.5 rem, and we're just going to go all the way around left, right, top, bottom. There we go. So everything has some space now. That's enough of that. And now let's use Flexbox. We're going to style the image to make it small and round like it should be. And then we'll put this next to here and style the text up. So it'll look like this. Okay. So let's select our avatar container for each one of these. And this is going to be our styling. So it's going to be white. Sorry, guys. Within the avatar container, we're just going to do display flex and align items center. And that's just going to put the text and the image side by side. Just like that. And now we're going to grab onto the actual avatar images and style those up. So let's say dot. Let's see. Oh, we forgot to give a class to the images. So let's do that now. Let's say class avatar img. And let's add that to, well, I'm just going to copy this class and add it onto the other 2 images. Copy and paste. And then we'll copy avatar image. Put it on this dot selector here. And we're going to say height 40 pixels, width 40 pixels, border radius 50%. So the 50% border radius will make it to a circle. And then we'll give it some margin right of 1 rem so that the text isn't right up on top of it. And then there we go. I don't know. So these images are broken. We'll fix that, but you can see here we got the circle image. It's the size it should be now, and our text is pushed over. So that's good. Let's go ahead and add, before we continue, I want to add the correct HTML in here so that each one has their different name, the image they're supposed to have, and the review text that they're supposed to have. So let's do that. So that's why that image got messed up. So let's do this. Oh, that's why. Forgot to copy over a thing. All right, so the second one is Irene Roberts. So let's get her image in the second card. /image, Irene image. Put Irene in the alt text. Put Irene Roberts. And then let's put her name right here. Irene Roberts. And then we'll put her little text in here for her review. Yeah, see how that looks? Cool. So there's Irene Roberts with her text. And let's do the same thing for the last one before we forget. Before I forget. Alright, so let's fix that. Say /. The last one is Ann Wallace, I think. So it's this one. Yeah. Alt text, we'll put Ann Wallace. And now let's copy that, put her name over here. And we'll copy paste her little review in here, whatever that says. Don't really care. Some nonsense. Okay. See how that looks. All right. We got the right people in here. Let's just style up this text. So let's take, what's next? Next we have to do the names. So take this avatar name, .avatar name. And we're going to copy and paste the code that I'm getting from Figma. Color is white. Font size is 17 pixels. Font weight is 700 pixels, so it's pretty bold. And then we're going to give it, we'll give this some margin bottom because we don't want a review text right on top of this. So let's go up to avatar container and say margin bottom 2 rem. See how that looks? There we go. We got a nice amount of space here. And now let's style up this verified buyer text and separate these so they're not on top of each other so much. So we're going to select our verified buyer text class. And again, I'm going to copy paste my styles in here from Figma. So there's the pink color EE69A4, font size 17 pixels, font weight 400. And then last but not least, we'll do the review card text. So say review card text. And again, it's white text, white color, font size 17 pixels, font weight 500, so a little bit bolder than the buyer text. Line height 22 pixels, and we're going to give it some padding top of 2 rem or 32 pixels. See how that looks? And yeah, that looks pretty good. A little bit too much space in here, so we got to actually fix that. I don't know what happened there. Let's go back, and we got to give some space between on the verified buyer text. We'll give like 5 pixels of padding top. So let's do that. So first let's do this. We'll say padding top. And we'll say like 4 pixels. Yeah, that's a good amount of space. Let's just change this margin bottom to 1 rem, I guess. Yeah, that's better. It looks more like the design. Maybe even, no, it's supposed to even be less than that. I don't know. Let's put 0. I don't know why that's pushed down so far. Just delete this and see what happens. There we go. So that's good. Yeah, so that actually looks pretty close to the design. Let's look at it really quick. So yeah, it looks good. We just got to put some margin on these suckers to make them look like little steps like the design. So let's do that. So we're going to do the same thing that we did with the others. We're going to add some IDs and then style the IDs. So that's Colton's review card. So we need the next 2. So here's the other review card. We'll say ID review card 2. Copy this over. And we got review card. We're going to say 3. And then let's just use margins again on those. So we'll do hashtag. We got review card. Oops, that is not what we wanted. Let's start with review card 2. And we'll go margin top 2 rem. And then for review card 3, it's basically going to be the same. Margin top is going to be 4 rem. And let's see how that looks. That looks good. Got our little subtle little step action going here. Let's look at the design just to compare it. And that's good. So that to that. Looks good enough to me. So that's the desktop version. We're going to go and make the mobile version now, so which looks like this. So this shouldn't take too long. We'll make a couple of media queries, stack everything on top of each other, center it, and we'll be good to go. So let's get that done. So let's start with making some media queries here to make our stuff responsive. I'm just going to make a comment. It says media queries here so I know clearly where they start. And I'm going to start by making a media query. So I'm going to say at media screen and max width. And we're going to make that 1024. We're going to make a max width. I'm going to have everything basically show up as the mobile view all the way up into like a small tablet size. Or like a tablet size, not small, but just like a regular tablet. And then everything above a tablet size, like a laptop and up, will be the desktop version. Just because this design is like, it's got a lot going on side to side. So if you try to make it desktop on tablets, it doesn't work very well. So we're just going to make our life easy, make pretty much everything mobile almost. So one little piece of code that I forgot to put in earlier, guys, my fault, is on review cards. We have our margin top and they're side by side, but we want to put in a piece of code called column gap. And we're going to make it 1 rem. And what column gap does is it puts margin or padding on the sides of Flexbox items side to side. You can also use row gap, so this one. And that'll do top and bottom, but that's the correct code to use instead of margin and padding for those. So I just want to put 1 rem of column gap in between our review cards because that'll prevent them from getting bunched up on like laptop screens and slightly smaller screens. So let me show you what I mean here. Just looking at our design, that the code that we just put in isn't really going to do much, but when I hit inspect, right click inspect, and I'll go to a MacBook Pro 13 screen size, which is 1152 pixels wide approximately. That column gap is now making it so that these aren't all bunched up. I can show you that if I take it off here, we can just go in here to review cards and see this column gap. I can uncheck it and they'll bunch it up again. So we always want to make sure those are separated no matter what. So that column gap will ensure that that happens. But you can see, like, as I was explaining earlier, we're going to have most screens just display the mobile view unless you're on like a big widescreen desktop. And this is why. As you can see, like this design really doesn't, it looks okay like this, but it doesn't look great. So I'm not going to spend the time to go through each and every single device to make it look super good. We're just going to make that section mobile on most screens. We don't want to spend hours and hours on this. Again, this doesn't look bad, but if I was getting paid to do this project, I would probably spend a little more time making this look a little better on like smaller tablet size screens. But let's go to, since we're already in mobile, we're going to make this mobile responsive. Let's go down to like an iPhone 12. And now we can actually look at our code and our design side by side because we're just going to be on mobile view. Let's do this. Let's put this side by side now. And we can do our mobile styling like this. So, see, it looks all messed up. This is an i12 Pro screen, so it doesn't look very good. So let's go ahead and fix it. So let's go in our media queries here. And we can actually get rid of this. Just have our CSS up here. So, again, this max with 1024 means every screen 1024 pixels and smaller do this styling instead. That's all it's telling the web page to do. So let's start out with our body. Let's copy the body down because we have our background images in there. And I'm just going to make a few tweaks to that. So for the background images, I'm going to be honest with you guys, like, it was really hard for me to even see where the background image was showing up when I got everything styled in this view for mobile. The bottom one was like really hard. It's really hard to see, and it's really, really subtle in the mobile view. If we can, let's pull that up. So it's so subtle because like all of this is going to be in the way. You can't really, the background image for the bottom is supposed to be there, but maybe it's like right there. I can't even tell where it is. So because I can't really tell what it is and it's not that noticeable to begin with, I just left the bottom background image off. But we'll put the top background image in on mobile because it's obvious where it is, but the bottom one is like a non-factor. So I just left it out of my mobile thing. If you can see it better than me and you want to add it, go ahead, but I just completely took it out of the mobile view. So again, you can do what you want. That's just what I chose to do. So let's go ahead and delete the second URL. And then I'm going to take this no repeat out. We don't need to. And I'm going to take this out. And I'll change the SVG image to the mobile one. So I'll say ./image BG pattern top mobile. There we go. So it's a little different, not too much different. And then for the background positioning for this one, we're going to do -20 VW and -10 viewport height. So viewport width, viewport height. And that doesn't look perfect yet, but when we style this other stuff up, it'll be in like pretty much the same location as the mobile design, okay? So just be patient with that. It'll fix itself. Next, we're going to do, going to grab the whole 5-star reviews ID. And we're going to get rid of all of this flex code because we don't need to mess with that at all. But what we do need to say, it changes the flex direction from row to column. Column is, obviously it means stack on top of each other. So now our text in that part is stacked on top of each other where it should be. I'm going to change the margin top to 3 rem so it's not quite so far down. And then we're going to keep on moving here. Now we're going to fix the main heading. So this is how I like to do my media queries. I just copy and paste stuff down one by one and make it mobile. Okay, so let's copy our main heading down, and then I get rid of any code that we don't need. We don't need to repeat the color. The font weight and the line height are going to be the same pretty much. The width is going to actually be 100% now. And we're going to say text align center because all the text is going to be centered on mobile view. And then our font size on the mobile view is going to be a little bit smaller than the desktop version. It's going to go down to 40 pixels. Okay, so that's that. And then, of course, we did width 100% because we don't want to keep that 60% to where the text is like off-centered and scrunched up. We have that container class that pretty much ends here. So we want in mobile like the text to take up all of the width it can on these smaller screens. That's why we're doing 100%. So next we got to do the main heading P. So right here, copy that down. Pretty much everything is going to be the same, but the width and the text align. So we can get rid of all this code because that's going to remain the same. The width is going to be 100% again. Whoops, 100%. We're going to say text align center. Okay, there we go. And then let's keep continuing down. So the next one we're going to do is our we actually didn't select it in the mobile view, but it's going to be the 5-star mentions. We're actually going to style that. We didn't style that part of it, that particular class on desktop, but we're going to for mobile because everything is stacked on top of each other now. We're going to move this whole thing down a little bit more and give them more space. So select that, and we'll say margin top 1 rem. Okay, there we go. And now we're going to select our, let's see what's next. I think it's review. Yeah, so we're going to style each review now, which is these guys. Let's go down. And we're going to get rid of all of this code because it's going to remain the same. Actually, we're going to get rid of this top. We're going to change to flex direction column again so that it flips them on top of each other. We're going to say justify content. We want it to justify center. And margin's going to stay the same. We'll get rid of that. Our padding is going to be a little bit different. We're going to say 1.5 rem top and bottom so that these get a little taller. And 3 rem left and right. And then we're going to change the width to 100%. There we go. And then we're going to change our height. We're going to make these a little taller on mobile. We're going to say 78 pixels. They're a little fatter on the mobile version. And then we have to go through and erase our margins so that these are all just straight in line. So we'll do that with our review IDs. So let's see, it's these ones here, review 3, review 2. And let's say margin 0 rem. Here we go. And then we also have to style the image. I want to give some space between the 5-star images and the text down there. So let's do, I don't think we did that in the desktop, so we'll select it here. We do have classes on them. That's why it's good to put classes on everything, guys, because if you don't style that particular class on desktop, when you get to the mobile point, you might have to. So it's always a good idea to put classes on all your main stuff. I'm going to say margin bottom 0.7 rem, so not even a full rem. There we go, just give them some space. And then we'll space the stars out a little bit, left and right. These stars on the mobile version, they look like they're a little more spaced out to me. So I'm going to say padding 0 pixels top and bottom, 2 pixels left and right. Just give them a little more space. That looks good. And now let's move down to the review cards and fix those up. So let's select our review cards. And we'll go down here. And all we're going to change here is we're going to delete this. We're going to say flex direction and column. So they're on top of each other instead of side by side. Looking good. And then the margin top. And then we're going to change margin top. That's a little bit too much margin from 4 rem to just 2 rem. There we go. So now they're a little closer together. And our third one, our third card is here. It's just being hidden by the developer tools, but that's okay. You can go full screen and zoom out. There we go. So all the cards are there. Okay. We can even put some margin bottom on the review card number 3 so that it's not, so that there's some white space below it. We should probably do that. So we'll do that. We'll go up here and select review card 3. Oops, our 5-star images. We got to put this in media queries. We messed that up. Let's put this down here. There we go. Let's make sure that didn't break our page. Go back to desktop. Yeah, we're fine. So my bad, guys. I forgot to put that down where it's supposed to go, but we caught it. Where were we? We're going to get review card 3. Or do we need to select both of these, huh? Yeah, so let's actually copy both of these down because we got to fix the margins on them, because they have different margin top and bottom than the other one. See that space right there? That's too much. We don't need that same effect. So we're going to say 0 rem. And we're going to change this. Oh no, we got to zero that out. So zero those out. Let's actually just go to review card 2 and put margin 1 rem top and bottom, 0 rem left and right. Put our colon back in here. There we go. That fixes them. And then let's give review card 3 some margin bottom so it's not, there's actually something below it, some white space. There we go. Okay. So yeah, guys, that's our mobile design. Let's go ahead and check this out now. Let's go through the different views for the some different devices and make sure it looks good. Yeah, it's looking good. Yep. And it looks like, guys, we actually forgot to add some styling to our review card itself because it's too wide. So let's go up and grab that. So we'll copy this down, bring it down to our media queries. So we should put that code right here, the review card code. And we need to change the width to 100%. So there we go. You can get rid of these two because those are going to stay the same. Same with the padding. I'm good with that. Let's make these a little taller on mobile. Let's make them like 250 pixels tall so that everything fits in there a little bit better, and that's good. That looks better. And then on the smaller screens, looks like our review text is a little broken, so let's make another media query really quick for smaller screens. And let's see. We'll change it to, this is 320 and it's a little broken, so let's go higher. Let's say like 360 and lower. We're gonna take, see that's a review, so let's grab our review code. And we can probably just fix the padding on that. So let's get rid of everything, inherit those styles. Padding left and right, let's just say 2 rem instead of 3. There we go. And that brings our stars and our text back to the center. So what are we, S9 plus? Let's check the S8, just make sure that we don't have that problem. Yeah, so it's probably just those smaller screens. So yeah, here's our mobile design. I think we're complete now, guys. Let's do iPhones. It's iPhone XR, iPhone 12 Pro, all the most common phones today. 14 Pro Max. So yeah, looking good to me. If you want to tweak anything or change anything, feel free. After watching this video, you should have all the skills you need to make your changes and know how to do them just by watching me. So go ahead and play around with the code, make your own changes if you think you can do some stuff better. But this is looking pretty good on all of the mobile screens. You can even check like an old iPhone 5. Remember those back in the day? Maybe you do, depending on how old you are. They were way smaller than the phones today. Yeah, so it even looks good on an iPhone 5. See how it looks on like a tablet, iPad Pro. And then on the iPad Pro, when you turn it sideways, it's like a desktop. So that's pretty much like a desktop view, iPad mini. Yep. Good enough for me, guys. So I'm happy with this. If you want to tweak anything, go ahead. Feel free to break stuff, play with it, learn. That's going to be it for this video. I will put all of the project code and everything you need in the description of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.